Hi, this is Blaine Pertler with Pertler Electric, and I'm going to show you real quick how to wire a tether into your system while bypassing your throttle safety switch and your kill switch on your handlebars here. I don't have my normal camera person here with me today, so I'll just do it all from one shot here. So what I did was I went ahead and took the key switch out and then the tether out. You know, our key switch goes here, tether goes here. So here's a shot of our key switch here. You just have the two terminals coming off the back, basically two male terminals, and you know, just off on. And we got a little jam nut here. That's the jam nut on the back side of it that you loosen that up. And then the key switch will pull right out. You know, you got to get it from the back side. So here's our key switch. And our tether is basically the same thing as far as how it comes apart. The it just unscrews here, and then this is the front portion of it. You pull that out, this pulls out the back, and then you can put this all back together. But basically your tether switch, you can see by looking at it here, it's just a button. When the button's pushed in, it makes electrical contact. When the tether, there's a little, it might be a little tough to see here, but there's a screw. You can see that Phillips screw head there. That screw pushes down on the button here. So when it's in, it pushes it down, and then for whatever reason, as soon as you pop it out, button comes up, no longer makes contact between the two terminals in the rear, breaks the circuit, opens it, your sled will shut off. There will be no more electrical circuit for it to fire your spark plugs. So we'll show you how to do this then real quick. Real easy to do, only take you maybe a half hour, because you got to make up the wires that go to it and so forth. So the way I have this sled wired right now, I have the key switch wired straight down to my stator. I bypass kill switch, throttle safety switch. It bypasses the whole wiring harness and so forth. There's a lot of electrical gremlins with these cats, whether it be ZR chassis or ZRT chassis through the 90s, early 2000s and so forth. So what I have is I've got these two wires coming from my ignition switch, and these two wires I have into a plug here, and I wrap them around the hose down here, so it's going to take a second to get these out. But so essentially I spliced in two wires. They have the wires that go to my just key. If I run just the key, we've got two females here. Those plug into the rear terminals here, the male terminals. And I had some spare parts of other wiring harnesses and so forth. So essentially what I did was just used a portion of a wiring harness here that has your female and your male on it, and I plugged those two into my stator, the two non-yellow connectors down here. So I just plugged those in. And now that's wired straight to your key, straight to your stator. So now you can just use the key to turn it off and on. So right now I just turned it on. We'll start it real quick. And we'll turn it off. Turn the key, turn it off. Okay. So you've got that wired, and then remember to use your power. You have to take your harness coming from, and I show that in my other video, your harness, wiring harness, and plug half of your stator, the other half of the stator plug there, the 4-prong plug, into half of your wiring harness, the two that would normally plug into it to power your lights and gauges and everything. So how do we wire our tether in if we need a tether, for racing or whatever, or some guys just want to ride one on the trail or what have you. I recommend bypassing everything: the tether, throttle safety switch, kill switch, wiring harness. I mean, just they're all just waiting to go bad on you. But if you need it for, like I say, racing, or you just want one, so what we do now is you make up a wire. You can see on our tether here, we've got two wires coming from this one, and you might have to rig this up. You might have to put ends on some different years, different models. But basically on your tether, you've got a male and a female. So what we're going to do, and it doesn't matter which wire you run this to, So what I mean by that, you've got these two wires coming up to your key switch. It doesn't matter if you go from this wire down to the stator there, or if you go from this prong wire down. It doesn't matter which way you hook these up. The key thing is one wire goes from your key switch down to your stator, the other one goes to your tether, and then the other one from your tether will hook up to your other wire that you had for your key switch before, but now that runs down. So it's just a circle. The wire comes up, goes through your key switch, comes out the other side, goes through your tether, and then comes out the other side of your tether back to this other wire to go back down to your stator. So it's pretty straightforward. You might have to go out and buy some ends to crimp on or what have you, but for this one, so we've got one end here going down to our stator. I have a female end here. Go ahead and clip that on the male end of your key switch. We have a male on this end, so we go ahead and plug it into the male here on your tether, and then the other portion of your tether was the male. This is a female here. We just plugged that in, so now we can see that loop now coming up from the stator through the key switch, through the tether, back out the tether, back to your stator through this wire. And then we go ahead and just plug in our tether to it. All it does is, remember the button I showed you? It just pushes that button down. We make sure our key is on, because now you can shut it off either way. You can break it by pulling the tether, or you can still use the key, shut it off by using the key. So now key's on, tether's plugged in. Unplug it, unplug the tether, shut it off, or still use the key on it. So you can still use that either way. Sorry if my shoulder was in the way there, but so now we can shut off by key or tether. So now you've got that wired in. All you have to do is just go ahead and put your key back here, put your tether in here. If you don't want your tether, just go back the way it was, which is the way I primarily recommend to have it. Unless, like I say, you have to have a tether in it for racing. Just run those two wires straight down to your stator, straight from your key there, and then your key works off and on. Like I say, the kill switch doesn't work. Now, let's say you do this and it runs crappy, or you don't have spark, and you're like, what the heck, my stator tests good, my trigger tests good, you know, did my CDI box go bad? Your coil leads here are all tight and snug, you cleaned everything off. It's like, well, I don't have any spark. I'm saying this because I've been there. Check your key switch. I'll try to hold this so you can see it, but we're going to check. All you're checking is for continuity, and that means that the path isn't broken on this. We're not checking for voltage or anything like that. Just put it on ohms, put it on your lowest ohm settings. On this particular model, it's 200 ohms. Flick it on. And what I mean by continuity is, you can see whenever these two touch, we've got continuity. It gives you a reading. It just says, hey, there's a circuit here. There's a complete circuit. So when the key is off, there should be nothing on your ohm readings here. So make sure your leads don't touch each other. So it basically, that one right there, it just means it's open. And like I say, when you touch these together, you get like 0.4 or whatever, 0.6. So with the key off, you should basically have 0. Turn the key on, and then you should show your continuity. And in this case, it's 0.5. So anywhere between like a 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. It's just saying that, yes, there's a circuit through the key switch here. This goes for almost all key switches. I mean, sometimes they have 3-way switches on them, 4-way. There's different kind of key switches. But in general, you can use this check on almost any key switch you have for, you know, 2-stroke toys and so forth. So that's how you do it. It's very easy. Just run that down there to your 2 non-yellow wires on your stator. Plug the other half of that on there, and that's how you wire it up and bypass all the electrical gremlins that most of these Articats have, and get them to run right for an awfully long time. This has been Blaine Pertler with Pertler Electric. Thank you.